Welcome to this edition of Lunch Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. Thanks for joining us today. My special guest, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Del Barr. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I'm doing pretty good, Mike. Thanks for having me on.
It's good to see you. I mean, although we see each other a lot during basketball, volleyball season, we're going to talk about the tournaments, the girl tournament draw and seedings and all those things, but talk a little bit about Del Barr. I know what Del's up to, but.
Well, I'm currently coaching girls basketball at Millersport and having a good time. We're struggling with wins, but we're young and don't have a whole lot of players, but they're getting better in practice, and that's what I keep telling them. You know, sooner or later the practice is going to carry over to a game. We talk about taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but we're progressing.
Now, you've been coaching a long, long time. We're both graduates of the Ohio University.
Oh, yes.
But winning a state title in 1993, girls basketball at Liberty Union. Let's just talk a little bit about those days and then what you see now.
Well, first of all, those girls were special, as all players that you coach are special. The biggest thing about them, and one thing that I don't know if I ever told you or not, the girl who would have been our starting center moved to Gahanna with her mother and started at Gahanna. So that ball club would have been even more dominant than what they were. But I'm proud of them because they've all been successful as business women, and that's the biggest thing. You know, some of them, a couple of them went on to play some college basketball. But most of them have a degree of some sort and are working in a field that they enjoy. And that goes all the way down. That goes to the JV kids that split time with the varsity that year also.
Yeah, I know because you coach softball and you've been involved in the community, do a lot of different things. When you look at today and the kids, and some kids are specializing, some aren't. I mean, talk a little bit about just what you see as far as today's athlete.
It's a difficult situation because, and I hope I don't step on any toes here, I think too many of the AAU basketball, club volleyball, travel softball, indoor soccer, I think too many of those people are encouraging kids to play one sport. Mm-hmm. But if you talk with others, doctors, physicists of any sort, Urban Meyer, you know I'm not the biggest Ohio State fan, but Urban Meyer always talks about he wants a 2-sport athlete. Mm-hmm. And people in that realm understand the different muscle structure. Sure. And sometimes you need a break. And every kid has their own favorite sport. But if they participate in another one, I think that makes them more well-rounded. And unfortunately, we're seeing more specialization than what I would like to see.
The commitment itself, I mean, we both been obviously coaching a lot longer than I have, but the kids today, I know there's a lot of this going on as opposed to being down at the park shooting or whatever it might be.
It is. They have a lot of other diversions in their lives, and that makes it a little bit more difficult also, because if someone comes to practice for an hour and a half or 2 hours after school, their friends can be, like you said, hanging out down at the park or playing video games or doing something. And unfortunately, too, a lot of kids feel they have to have a car and have to make their payments, and some of them have to have their own insurance. And so you find some people maybe as early as 15, not concentrating on school anymore, but getting into the workforce, and that's kind of tough at that age.
Now, you've been teaching a long time, math, and talk a little bit about classroom structure. Well, I know we talk about kids and their commitment, but even just the classroom structure of athletes.
I'm old-fashioned. Not old, just old-fashioned. I subbed for Ben Bethel this week, and he teaches 5th grade math at Liberty Union Elementary. And the big thing now in schools is to put students in groups and have their desks in groups. And that I have a difficult time with that because no matter where you stand in a room, there's always someone with their back to you. And they're looking across the desk at someone else, and I'm thinking, okay, if I was that age, I'm not sure I'd be paying a whole lot of attention to what the teacher was saying. But that's the new wave. That's the new thing. And there are advantages to it. There are definitely advantages to it. But it's difficult. So when I take attendance, I ask them all to turn their desks around and look at me so I can put names and faces together a little bit.
When you first got into coaching, I mean, I can't imagine. I was fortunate enough to get to a regional final, but winning a state title, I mean, did you ever think that would happen? I mean,
no. You hope, you dream.
Oh, yeah.
My hometown is Glenford, which is a part of the Sheridan School District. And the basketball teams there were always really, really good. And they won a state tournament in 1941. And so us little guys, it's something we always talked about and tried to do. And of course, none of us were good enough to do that. But yeah, we had some special things. And when I started at Liberty Union, the Board of Education asked me to go from the boys' JVs to the girls' varsity. I wasn't sure I wanted to do it, but the girls then I'd all had in class, and they were good kids. And they came to me, to all of our junior high teachers, and said, could you come and watch us play St. Mary's in the junior high tournament, because we think maybe we have a chance to beat them. We've never beaten them before. And at that time, St. Mary's and Canal Winchester both had very good youth programs. And so I went, and they did win. So I went back and watched them play, and they lost to Fairfield Union in the finals, thinking I'd never coached those girls. But when the board asked me to move over, I'm really glad they did, because it's been a really good experience.
Yeah. Was that your first coaching experience? Was that
No.
Talk about your first job, the first coaching job you had.
1969-70, Liberty Union 7th and 8th graders.
Boys, girls?
Boys. We played a tournament at St. Mary's, and I was young and hyper and up and down and everything else. And the first game went into triple overtime with Pickerington, and I told these guys, I said, guys, I can't take it anymore. You got to win at this one, because if you don't win this one, I'm going to have a heart attack. I'm only 22 years old. I'm going to die right here. But that was the first one, and yeah, it's been fun ever since.
Yeah. You've also spent time doing softball too. Had great success at softball. Which is, I guess, the $64,000. Which is easier?
Well, basketball's better because it's usually a controlled environment. You don't have to rake the court. I did football for 15, and then baseball for 13, and softball for 13, and now basketball for 47. And
47 years.
Yeah, they all have their own good points, and there are drawbacks for all of them. Basketball's such a long season, and with the illnesses now, I mean, the illness is going around the county. At this point, it's something you have no control over. Right. So football I still miss. That's why we still try to broadcast games. It's fun to be part of it that way.
When we look at the transition of basketball, was there a tournament back then? Was there a state tournament when you first started?
75 or 76 was the first girls' state tournament.
Okay.
But there were boys' state tournaments all the way through.
And today we have, of course, the Central District has 19 teams in it, I think. Is that
in Division 4.
In Division 4. And explain the difference between the Central District and the Southeast District, because there's a way that and how they do things for the tournament also.
Okay. In the Central District, it started for the girls last Friday, a week from today. And every team has to turn in their record to the Central District Athletic Board. And it's broken down by divisions, like what was your record against Division I schools, Division II, Division III, Division IV, and your overall record. And that's compiled. And then on Saturday, we had to get back on the internet again and seed the teams. Like, who would we think was the number one seeded team? And by Division 4, we just concentrated on the Division 4. And you can't vote for yourself. And so you see the other 18 teams. And then on Sunday, we went to the tournament draw in Gahanna. And we have a bracket, and part of the bracket's behind us. We have a bracket. And the number one seeded team gets a choice of where they want to go in a bracket, and then it goes down to number 2 as a choice, and all the way down to the last team. Fairfield Union, being in a southeastern district, is different. If you're seated number 1, you have to go on line 1. If you're seated number 2, you have to go on line 2.
You don't have a choice.
You have no choices. And that makes it somewhat difficult. And they still do voice vote, I think. So it's a little bit, it's different. They call it NCAA seating. It's the way the NCAA men's tournament is done. And they're the only district in the state that does that.
Right.
Gary Burke, when I first started helping Gary Burke, I'd resigned at Liberty Union. Gary asked me to help him at Fairfield Union. He said, "You want to go to the tournament draw?" I said, "Sure." He said, "I'm not going to tell you how it works. I want you to be surprised." And he was right. I was surprised. I was surprised. It's the only one in the state that does it that way.
Right. So we've had the tournament. We do have we actually have the bracket. It's broken in half, but some of the local teams have done very well.
Oh, yes.
And again, in the Central District, Fairfield Christian got the first seed.
They deserved it. They're a very good team. Ben Bethel's done a really good job with those girls, and it's a deep team, and they have a lot of talent.
It's actually they're going to play
right.
Millersport, the first game.
Yeah, we were lucky. We got the last seed, which I knew we would, because we've struggled this year, and so we come down here and play on Monday, on the 20th.
And the second seed went to Danville.
Danville.
Third seed went to Shekinah Christian, and then the fourth seed went to Fisher Catholic.
Fisher Catholic's a good ball club. They're a senior dominator. They have 8 seniors, and they're hard to play against. We play against them, in fact, tomorrow night. They're difficult to defend because they have so many weapons, and it's not necessarily the same girl. One day it's one who scores 17, another girl scores 4. The next game, the girl scored 4, scores 15, and it's just they're all capable of scoring. That makes it difficult to defend them.
The fifth seed was Wellington School out of Columbus, which is a private school. 6th was Granville Christian, and then 7th was Madison Christian,
right?
And then Bern Union was 8th seed.
Bern Union was 8th, and that's going to be a good game for them. We scrimmaged at Madison Christian at the beginning of the year, and they have some talented players. I think Bern Union, they played, didn't they?
Yeah, they played Madison Christian. I think beat them by 4 or 5 just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And they'll play Bern Union.
So that's a 7-8 game.
Right.
7th seeded, 8th seeded. So should be a good contest.
Then the 9th, 10th seed, Grove City Christian plays Patriot Prep, and then there's Delaware Christian is going to play Shekinah Christian. You might want to talk about. You talked about Southeast how they do it, but in the Central District, whoever gets the first seed can go wherever they want on the board.
Right, right. And it's interesting to see how teams choose to play. As we were talking with JT off the air, it might be that someone's a number 1 seeded team, and you might be 5th or 6th, but you think we can beat them, and if we beat them, we would have an easier path to the district finals if we did.
Right. So there's some psychological evaluation of what, and you can pass you can pass and let somebody else go.
And with girls, it's a lot more psychological. If they think they can beat someone, you one step up.
Right.
They.
Another matchup is Ridgedale, who is a 12 seed, will play Harvest Prep, who is a 14 seed.
Ridgedale's interesting because they're a division. They play a lot of D3 schools in the Marion area, and so it'll be that might be one to watch. Harvest Prep, we played the other night, and they beat us by 45-25. The best second half our kids played all year. Right. But Ridgedale's pretty solid, and they play a lot bigger schedule, so that might be
a lot of D3 schools.
Elgin and Pleasant and River Valley and some of those schools.
So you guys, Millersport's playing Fairfield Christian on Monday at 7 o'clock.
Right.
Bern Union's playing Madison Christian on Saturday, February 25th at 7 o'clock. Ridgedale and Harvest Prep are Wednesday, February 22nd at 7. And Fisher plays Wednesday, February 22nd at Fisher against Granville Christian.
That might be a good one.
Yeah.
Granville Christian has a set of twins that are about 5'8" or 5'9", the English sisters, and then they have a little guard named Hartshorn's a pretty good player.
When you started, when you go to the draw, which takes a couple hours to do, people get together and say, well, I don't know if I want to play them. I want to play them. Or, I mean,
Yeah, a lot of it.
Is there a lot of backroom dealing going on?
A lot of it. When Fairfield Christian jumped on that first line, I knew what was going to happen. At that point, we just kind of waded through and suffered through it to see. But it does. It happens. And I might say the boys are doing the same thing right now.
Right.
Because the boys' tournament is 1 week after the girls. The girls start 1 week before the boys, so the seasons are the same length, but they're staggered somewhat.
There'll be 2 district champions. Both will be. They'll play at Pickerington High School, and that'll be coming up on March 9th. So, talk about what it takes to get there. You've won a state championship. Talk about what it takes. What are these kids thinking about right now? What are the coaches thinking about right now?
Well, you have to be healthy to start with, and you have to have a group of kids who are willing to work together. If you have someone who is a me player, you're not going to go very far. The year before we won the state championship, we could have won it that year too, but our best player was out with mono almost all year long. And so we got beaten in the district finals by a team that made it to the Final Four. But you have to be that way, and you have to schedule games, non-league games, to challenge your team. That year we played Buckeye Valley, which was a Division II team, and they were the #1 ranked team in Central Ohio at that time. We played them in the holiday tournament, and that was a really big win for us. Their post player went to University of West Virginia. Wow. Their point guard went to Kansas State, and the girls played really well. I think we won that game by 26 points, but they played really, really well. I challenged them before the game because our kids were younger. I said, okay, let's see if West Virginia and Kansas State picked the right people or not. And I paired them up and said, we're going man to man and see what happens. And that was huge for us.
When you're obviously you've been doing basketball for 47 years, anything strike you new? I mean, from the technological side to just we talked about just athletes in general, but innovations that you've seen that
shooting threes.
Yes, no.
Oh my! I was in an AAU tournament in the summer of 1987, watching one of our Liberty Union girls play, and it was sitting beside of her brother-in-law, and there's an older gentleman who her brother-in-law knew. Now, in fact, it was Reinshield. Risha Wagner. Yeah. And I asked him, this older gentleman, I said, what's it going to be like on the three-point line? And he said they've had it in Kentucky for, I think he said 12 years or 15 years. And in 10 years, they're going to come out of the locker room shooting threes in Ohio, and it's going to screw up the game. and I thought, well, yeah. I think too many kids try to shoot the three who aren't capable of it, and maybe rely on it too much. But it is a good weapon. But I think that's the biggest change that I've seen.
Right. When you're coaching, man-to-man zone, what's
We try to play a lot of combos. It depends on the kids. The players we have right now at Millersport aren't really equipped to play a lot of man-to-man. So we play a triangle and two. We play a tandem zone with 3 people playing man. We'll do a diamond and one, and you name it, we'll throw the kitchen sink out. But I think you have to go with what the kids are capable of doing, and try to fit them in a position where they can be successful.
I know I'm going to touch on this issue. I know because we've had stories, but officiating. Now, there are some people that love officiating, some hate it, but in general, overall, all the games you've done, is a huge difference between 20 years ago and now.
Too many officials today won't let you talk with them. I got a technical foul this year, which I'm not proud of. We were at Columbus Academy.
I thought it was funny. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah,
I know you're not proud of it. But.
Yeah, it was. They shot a foul shot and made it, and so one of their players got the ball. We'll take it out of bounds. Honest mistake. Okay, but they were pressing, and that gave them a chance to get their press set up. And so I asked the official. I said, "Isn't that a warning for delay a game?" Which it is. So it went back as rule 4-3, but it is. And He said, there's no such rule. I said, it's a delay game warning. And his son, who was officiating with him, gave me a technical foul and then told me, get a rule book, coach. And I felt like saying something else, but if I did...
I wrote the rule book.
If I did, you'd have to pay a $150 fine and go to an anger management class. So I didn't want to do that. But that's the type of thing I think has changed the most, because officials who are sure of themselves will be glad to talk with you and explain the situation. We had another one, I had a girl get a technical foul one night because she slammed the ball on the floor, but I didn't see it. And so I asked the official, I said, what did she do? And she told me, and I said, okay, thanks. And so as long as you have open communication, I think it works well.
Right. Talk just briefly the parent side of things. I mean, just in general, tips to parents that, I mean, not everybody's going to be a Division I athlete. We know that. I've had 3 daughters that have played Division III and Division II, but not everybody's going to be a Division I athlete.
I always tell our kids, go where you can get the education you want, and maybe play a little bit. And if you can't play, join an intramural team. Yeah. I had a blast at intramurals at OU, and just to play. The high school used to publish a pamphlet, which we're in the process of trying to get a copy of it right now. It's a trifold, what coaches should do, expectation of players, and expectation of parents. And that was a really good pamphlet, and I haven't seen one for a while. But if we get a copy of it and just make copies off of a copying machine, sure, and pass out, because Alan Young was a boys coach at Liberty Union. He's still a phys ed teacher there. Alan did this the best I've ever heard with a parent meeting. He would tell the parents, you want your son to be successful. I want your son to be successful. The problem is I have 10 parents who want their son to be successful, and I want all 10 of them to be successful. And so we have to handle it as a group. But Alan did a great job with that.
Is there anybody that's influenced your life when you were growing up?
My mom. You had to be a teacher to coach,
yeah.
And I wanted to coach, and so I guess I had to be a teacher. But that was her encouragement, and I'm glad I did. I still love coaching. I still sub. I subbed for Ben Bethel last week, and I'm going to sub for one of my former students who teaches history next week for a couple days. And just being around kids, sure, is fun being around kids.
Still keep in contact with the kids that you've coached?
A lot of them. In fact, in one class, the 6th grade class at Liberty Union, one period, we had 5 mothers. Now, I'll take that back. One was from Fisher Catholic, Jenny Sage.
Oh, yeah.
It was Jenny Wolshire, Fisher Catholic. Yeah. Her son, and then the others. And I told those kids, I said, if we could turn the clock back and put your moms on the same team, we'd have a pretty good ball club here. But 3 of them went on to play in college. Aaron Blackstone Burlingame played at OU, and Krista Walton Riddle played at Urbana, and Shannon Congrove Billingsley played at Urbana, and their daughters were on that class. So that's neat.
That's neat. Yeah. That's when you decide to get out of this, will that be it, or will you?
I'm gonna evaluate officials. No, I'll do something. I might volunteer and help somebody needs an old timer around or something, But yeah, I enjoy it too much. We took a class on death and dying to help youngsters to deal with the loss of a loved one, and we had to write our own obituaries, which was comical to start with, and then you started getting serious about what yours going to say. And mine was, I died of a heart attack in the middle of the gym floor. I was 90-some years old, and that's probably how it'll happen.
I don't know, you're in pretty good shape. I don't know.
I hope so.
Yeah. The advice for kids coming up that want to pursue athletic endeavors?
Have fun. Have fun. Realize it's not about you. It's about the kids that are on the floor, and encourage them to do their best. We have a saying: always do your best. No one can expect more. You shouldn't accept anything less. And
nice.
That's on. And another one is Bobby Knight's discipline. Do what has to be done when it has to be done, as well as it can be done, and do it that way all the time. And those are two signs in our locker room.
That was fantastic. Big Bobby Knight fan?
Oh,
John
yeah.
Wooden fan?
Yes, very much so. Bobby Knight, X's and O's, not necessarily throwing the chair across the floor, but
Not the motivation type?
yeah, right. But X's and O's, I think he was really good.
If you could coach one college job, right now they walked in the door and said, where do you want to go? Where would you go?
Oh, gee.
Besides OU.
Oh, yeah, Harvard on the hockey. On the men's side, probably Duke. I really like the atmosphere there. We've taken a couple of team camps down to North Carolina and just go down the road to Duke.
Sure.
And really, Cameron Indoor is like a dump.
Yeah.
It really is.
I've been there.
It's the environment. It's not the facility.
Exactly.
Stanford, Tara Vanderveer.
Been there too?
Tara Vanderveer, she does it the right way. I mean, she's really, she was at Ohio State for a while and got a chance to talk with her at Ohio State, and still runs some of the stuff that she did. But yeah, she won her 900th game.
Yeah, just did.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, we're almost out of time. It has been great having you in, and good luck in the tournament.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Again, taking on Fairfield Christian on Monday, February 20th here at Fairfield Christian.
Right.
And again, it should be a great year. It's a great time of year for basketball junkies.
Oh, this is most. I mean, you can go to a gym anywhere and find a game. I appreciate having me on, Mike.
Oh, absolutely. We'll get you back on again. Talk a little bit about some other things. But
Okay.
It's been good. Thanks for being here.
Okay, no
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Lang's Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. And remember, until we meet again, let's make a difference.